Elvis was not a well man, and I'm staggered at the number of possible causes of death. I have here the toxicology report, which shows there are a staggering 9 different prescription drugs in Elvis's body at the time of his death.
Elvis Presley's death rocked the world. But what happened to the family he left behind? Priscilla's desperate fight to save Graceland, Lisa Marie's tumultuous journey, and the secrets that nearly destroyed them. What dark truths lurk behind the Presley family's tragedy? The rise, reign, and struggles of a legend. Elvis Presley, just the sound of his name conjures up images of a legend who captured the hearts of millions and forever changed the landscape of music. He's the ultimate music icon, a true American legend whose influence can still be felt decades after his prime. But behind the shimmering jumpsuits and the infectious rock and roll anthems lies an incredible rags-to-riches story that's the stuff dreams are made of. Let's start at the very beginning. January 8, 1935, in Tupelo, Mississippi. That's where Elvis Aaron Presley was born to Gladys and Vernon Presley, a hard-working but poor family just trying to get by. Growing up, Elvis's life was anything but glamorous. The family moved from home to home, with his dad even doing a stint in jail at one point for forging a check. Not exactly the kind of upbringing you'd expect from a future king of rock and roll, right? But despite the tough circumstances, the Presley household was full of music. Young Elvis soaked up the sounds of gospel, country, rhythm, and blues, laying the foundation for the one-of-a-kind style he would later become famous for. When he was just 10 years old, he got his first taste of the spotlight, winning a talent contest at the Mississippi-Alabama Fair and Dairy Show. That early success was the spark that would eventually ignite a fire within him, setting him on the path to superstardom. As a teenager, Elvis continued honing his craft, performing at local radio stations and venues around his hometown. And it was during this time that he started developing that signature look and sound, the slicked back hair, the blend of country, blues, and the brand new genre of rock and roll. But how did Elvis manage to revolutionize the music industry almost overnight? Elvis's first big break came in 1953 when he walked into Sun Studio in Memphis to record a few songs for his mother's birthday. Little did he know, this act of love would catch the attention of Sam Phillips, the studio owner, who was on the lookout for a white artist who could sing African-American music. Phillips believed Elvis was the perfect fit, and soon, the world would be introduced to his unique blend of genres that would come to be known as rock and roll. In 1954, Elvis recorded "That's All Right," a song that would change the music landscape forever. It was unlike anything anyone had ever heard, and it immediately captivated audiences. His energetic performances, gyrating hips, and charisma made him a sensation. In the years that followed, he rose to unprecedented levels of fame, churning out hit after hit and captivating audiences with his unforgettable live performances. Songs like "Heartbreak Hotel," "Don't Be Cruel," and "Jailhouse Rock" became instant classics, cementing his status as the undisputed king of rock and roll. He also branched out into Hollywood, starring in a string of popular, if sometimes cheesy, musical films. As the 1960s dawned, Elvis found himself at a bit of a crossroads. His musical output had started to slow, and his film career, while commercially successful, had lost its creative spark. Was the king about to fade into obscurity, or was a legendary revival just around the corner? Some critics even began to whisper that his best days were behind him, that he was just a relic of a bygone era. But Elvis had other plans. In 1968, he staged a remarkable TV comeback, delivering a now legendary performance that reminded the world of his unparalleled talent and showmanship. The so-called '68 Comeback Special was a triumph, and it set the stage for an incredible resurgence in the final decade of his life. During the 1970s, Elvis embarked on a series of sold-out live shows, touring the country and thrilling audiences with his electrifying stage presence. He also returned to the recording studio, producing a string of critically acclaimed albums that showcased a more mature, introspective side of the king. Songs like "Suspicious Minds" and "Don't Cry Daddy" proved that he was still a musical force to be reckoned with, a far cry from the teen idol of his earlier years. Was Elvis's fame a blessing or a curse? On one hand, he had achieved a level of success that most can only dream of. But on the other hand, it seemed like he could never escape the glare of the spotlight, with every aspect of his life scrutinized and analyzed. But was all this fame worth the scandals that followed him? How did he handle the intense pressure and scrutiny that came with being the king of rock and roll? The untold scandals and secrets of the king? But of course, with great fame comes great, well, controversy. And Elvis was no stranger to that. Let's dive into the underbelly of Elvis's incredible rise to stardom. From his scandalous dance moves that sent the moral guardians of America into a tizzy, to his rumored connections to the mafia, this is the side of the king that you don't hear about in the history books. Let's start with perhaps the most infamous aspect of Elvis's public persona, his famously provocative dance moves. I mean, have you seen the way that man could shake his hips? It's no wonder he drove teenage girls and their parents wild with desire. But to the more uptight members of society, those gyrating, thrusting motions were downright obscene. His provocative style on stage was deemed so inappropriate that he earned the nickname Elvis the Pelvis. In fact, the controversy got so intense that the legendary TV host Ed Sullivan refused to show Elvis's full body on his show, instead opting to film him only from the waist up. But the scandal didn't stop there. Oh no, Elvis's reputation as a dangerous, corrupting influence on the youth of America only grew as his fame skyrocketed. For many, he represented the breakdown of traditional values, a harbinger of the sexual revolution that was sweeping the nation. Even the FBI reportedly had their eye on him, convinced that his music and his lifestyle were leading impressionable young people down a path of moral ruin. And let's not forget the rumors of Elvis's connections to the mafia. Now, these whispers have never been conclusively proven, but they've certainly added an extra layer of intrigue to the Elvis mythos. After all, what self-respecting music legend doesn't have a few shady characters in their orbit, right? The story goes that Elvis had ties to some unsavory figures in the Memphis underworld, and that these connections helped grease the wheels of his rapid rise to fame. Whether it was using mob influence to get radio play, or strong-arming promoters and venue owners, the implication was that Elvis didn't always play by the rules. Of course, the king himself always denied these allegations, insisting that his success was the result of pure talent and hard work. But with the kind of wealth and power that Elvis amassed, it's not hard to see why some might be skeptical. After all, when you're that big of a target, there's bound to be all sorts of rumors swirling around you. And then there's the issue of cultural appropriation. Elvis was a white artist who gained immense popularity by singing and performing in a style that was heavily influenced by African American music. While some argue that he brought this music to a wider audience, others feel he profited off the creative genius of black musicians without giving enough credit. This debate continues to this day. Was Elvis a cultural bridge or a cultural thief? Another layer to his controversial persona was his relationship with Priscilla Beaulieu. Elvis met Priscilla when she was just 14 years old, and he was 24. They began dating while he was stationed in Germany during his military service. The fact that Elvis, a grown man, was involved with a teenage girl would be a massive scandal by today's standards. Despite the age difference, they married in 1967 when Priscilla was 21. Their relationship was both highly publicized and highly scrutinized, adding more fuel to the fire of his controversial life. Speaking of his time in the military, did you know that his draft into the U.S. Army was itself a source of drama? Some fans were devastated, fearing it would end his career, while others saw it as a publicity stunt. Elvis used his service to his advantage, winning over a new set of fans with his patriotism. However, the 2-year hiatus also marked a shift in his career, from the rebellious rock and roller to a more family-friendly image. And let's not forget his connection with Colonel Tom Parker, his manager. Parker, whose real name was Andreas Cornelis van Kuyk, was a shrewd and controlling figure in Elvis's life. Their relationship was a double-edged sword. Parker helped catapult Elvis to unprecedented fame, but his tight grip and questionable business decisions also raised eyebrows. It was rumored that Parker took a whopping 50% of Elvis's earnings, a far cry from the industry standard. This financial arrangement has been criticized for exploiting Elvis, and is often cited as a major factor in some of the poor career decisions made later on. Was Elvis's opulent lifestyle a true reflection of his success, or was it his downfall in disguise? Elvis's lifestyle also attracted a fair share of controversy. Known for his extravagant spending, he bought Graceland at the young age of 22, turning it into a lavish mansion that symbolized his success. He had a fleet of luxury cars, a private jet named the Lisa Marie, and an extensive collection of jewelry. His generosity was well documented. He frequently gave away cars and expensive gifts to friends and even strangers. But this lavish lifestyle also raised questions about his financial management and dependence on his manager, Colonel Parker. Elvis Presley's life was a roller coaster of highs and lows, successes and scandals. His impact on music and culture is undeniable, but so is the trail of controversy he left behind. As we peel back the layers of his storied career, it becomes clear that the king of rock and roll was not just a musical pioneer, but also a complex and often misunderstood figure. He was a man who seemed to thrive on the adoration of his fans, but also struggled with the immense expectations placed upon him. But what secrets still remain about the king's final days? The unsolved mysteries surrounding Elvis Presley's final days. Elvis Presley's death is shrouded in mystery, drama, and no shortage of controversy. The king of rock and roll, who seemed larger than life, met a sudden and tragic end on August 16, 1977. But was it really as straightforward as it seemed? Let's dive into the final days of Elvis Presley and uncover the questions that still linger. Elvis was found unresponsive on the bathroom floor of his Graceland mansion by his then-fiancée, Ginger Alden. Despite immediate efforts to revive him, he was pronounced dead at Baptist Memorial Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. The official cause of death was listed as a heart attack, but that's just scratching the surface. What really happened to Elvis Presley? To understand the context of his death, we need to look at his health and lifestyle in the years leading up to it. By the mid-1970s, Elvis's health had deteriorated significantly. He had gained a considerable amount of weight and was suffering from various ailments, including glaucoma, high blood pressure, liver damage, and an enlarged colon. However, the most concerning aspect of his health was his reliance on prescription medications. Elvis was known to have a complex cocktail of drugs prescribed to him by Dr. George C. Nicopolis, also known as Dr. Nick. This included a variety of painkillers, sedatives, and amphetamines. Was his death a result of natural causes, or was it something more sinister, perhaps even preventable? On that fateful night, Elvis had been restless. Reports suggest he was up late into the early hours of the morning, unable to sleep. He reportedly took several doses of medication prescribed by Dr. Nick. Just a few hours later, he was found lifeless. The toxicology report revealed a mix of 14 different drugs in his system. This raises a haunting question. Was Elvis Presley's death an accidental overdose or something more deliberate? Adding to the intrigue, Dr. Nick faced significant scrutiny following Elvis's death. In 1980, he was charged with overprescribing drugs to Elvis and other patients. Although he was acquitted of criminal charges, his medical license was suspended. Dr. Nick's involvement in Elvis's health has led to endless speculation. Was he a negligent doctor, or was he simply following Elvis's own demands? The truth may never be fully known, but it certainly casts a shadow over the events leading up to Elvis's death. Elvis's funeral was a spectacle befitting a king. Held at Graceland, thousands of fans lined the streets to pay their respects. The open casket allowed mourners a final glimpse of their idol. Yet, even this event wasn't without its controversies. Photos of Elvis in his casket taken by his cousin were sold to the National Enquirer and published on the cover. This move was seen as a betrayal by many in Elvis's inner circle, adding another layer of drama to an already tragic event. Elvis Presley's death remains a topic of fascination and speculation. The official story of a heart attack, likely exacerbated by years of prescription drug use, is accepted by many. Yet, the questions and theories persist. Was it a simple case of a superstar succumbing to his excesses, or is there a deeper, more complex story behind the headlines? As with many legends, the truth may be a blend of both. When Elvis Presley passed away, it wasn't just the end of an era, it shattered the lives of those closest to him. But what happened to the family he left behind? The Presley family's battle with legacy and loss. Priscilla, who had divorced Elvis in 1973, was left with the monumental task of preserving his memory. How did she manage to keep Elvis's legacy alive while dealing with her own grief? She transformed Graceland into a museum, a move that wasn't just about honoring Elvis, but also about saving the estate from financial ruin. But behind the scenes, Priscilla was grappling with a profound sense of loss. Elvis's father, Vernon Presley, faced his own devastating heartbreak. Having already lost Elvis's twin brother at birth, Vernon now had to endure the pain of losing his son. As the executor of Elvis's estate, he had to manage the complex financial and legal challenges left behind. But Vernon's health deteriorated rapidly after Elvis's death, and he passed away just 2 years later. The extended Presley family and Elvis's close friends, known as the Memphis Mafia, were also thrown into turmoil. These were the people who had been by Elvis's side through thick and thin. Without their leader, they were left disoriented and grief-stricken. Then there's Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's only daughter, who was just 9 years old when he died. She was the heir to an iconic legacy, but also the burden-bearer of a painful family history that would haunt her. At such a young age, could she understand the vast empire Elvis left behind? Or was she set to inherit a life of public scrutiny, questionable friendships, and an inheritance that seemed more like a curse than a blessing? Lisa Marie's life was a roller coaster, marked by addiction struggles and multiple marriages. Her inheritance came with not just wealth, but immense responsibility. Managing Elvis's estate added financial and managerial pressures to her already complicated life. Lisa Marie's relationships became public spectacles, and her marriages often played out under the glare of the spotlight. From her marriage to Michael Jackson to her high-profile divorce battles, each chapter added to the mystery and drama surrounding the Presley family. In recent years, the Presley family has seen more loss and heartbreak. When Lisa Marie tragically lost her son Benjamin, the family seemed haunted by the specter of untimely death. This wasn't just a family marked by fame, it was a family marked by loss, where joy and heartbreak always seemed intertwined. Could the Presleys ever escape this cycle, or was tragedy destined to remain part of their story? Financially, the Presleys faced a daunting situation. Despite Elvis's immense wealth, the estate was riddled with debt and mismanagement. Priscilla took bold steps to stabilize the estate, including the controversial decision to open Graceland to the public. This move turned Graceland into a major tourist attraction, securing the financial future of Elvis's legacy. Emotionally, the journey was even more challenging. Each family member dealt with their grief in different ways, but the common thread was the immense sense of loss and the struggle to uphold Elvis's legacy. The Presleys' story after Elvis's death is one of resilience and determination, but also of enduring sorrow. Elvis's passing wasn't just the end of his life. It marked the beginning of a heartbreaking chapter for his family. Their lives, forever altered by his absence, are a testament to the deep, personal cost of fame. What do you think? Did the Presleys manage to uphold Elvis's legacy, or did the controversies overshadow their efforts? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to check out our other videos exploring the untold stories of music legends. Remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more intriguing tales from the world of rock and roll.